Hello everyone, Machi here. Welcome back to another in-depth look video. Today we're gonna talk about two more characters from FF8, Final Fantasy VIII. We are talking about Seifer and Quistis. So the last time we talked about Fujin and Raijin, so we cannot leave Seifer out. So we're gonna talk about him and his teacher, Quistis, here as well. We are running a full FF8 team with Selfie as well. We have a Squall support as well. We have an FF8 summon as well. So we are full Final Fantasy VIII teamed. We're gonna do the Aphmau Chaos Lost Chapter fight. And yeah, let's see what Seifer and Quistis are all about. Now, okay, let's start with Quistis. Quistis, she just got her EX Plus. Quistis is mainly known for her delaying capabilities. Of course, she has very useful and strong debuffs. So she's a very strong debuffer. She's a full melee as well, and she's also very focused on battering the party with bravery. In fact, literally everything that she does will be a battery. Literally everything. For the whole team, so that's our general goal in the fight. Let's see her abilities right away. We have Laser Whip, which grants party bravery based on own max brave. I believe it's about 25% of your own max brave, so it's not a super huge value, but it's pretty decent. It's a 3-hit melee bravery attack plus HP attack, then a little bit of overflow. 4 turns of turn rate down, which we will talk about in a bit. You gain 6 turns of attack up 1, so she has a little bit of self buff here in the attack up 1. Bravery becomes bravery plus, and HP becomes HP plus for 6 turns after the use of Laser Whip. It is fairly important to remember that first of all, Laser Whip has 12 uses. It's her main ability, and does quite a lot of things overall, because it's a battery, puts turn rate down, gives you attack up, enables your bravery and HP plus. So it's a very useful ability. I would say that you probably use this constantly, and it's very helpful. Degenerator Whip instead is pretty straightforward. Grants party bravery based on own max brave. It is a very strong ability. You could call the Generator Whip maybe an early LD ability, because it's only 3 uses, 4 actually with the AA, but it's one of those abilities that is incredibly powerful, but you can only use, very few times in a fight. So the party bravery that you gain from it is more than the Laser Whip. I believe it's 50% of your max brave, so it's actually very strong, especially on summon phase. 6-hit melee bravery attack plus HP attack, so hits very hard too. A lot of overflow as well. Delays the target by 3 turns, so this is the mega delay ability that she has. And also puts speed down 1, which is 20% on the enemy. So you can immediately see by not even doing anything with Quistis that she's, like we said, she's a debuffer, but most importantly she's one of the best characters at controlling the pace of the fight, if not the best. Between delay, turn rate down, speed down, the battery for the party, like she is very versatile, can slot into a lot of different compositions, because she's just, the utility that she brings is kind of unmatched if you are searching for that type of utility. So she's great. I love her for that reason. Now let's start by doing a nice turn rate down with Laser Whip. Okay, turn rate down. We will talk about Fading Light as well, but turn rate down lowers turn rate. So in this game, speed and turn rate goes hand in hand. They are fairly hidden, like it's a hidden value to the player. It's not very straightforward to understand how they work. I think one way that you could look at it is, imagine if every character in the fight had an ATB bar like the older Final Fantasy. Your bar fills up and then you have a turn, right? So with turn rate down, which I believe is 30%, what you do is basically you increase the wait time for the enemy to have a turn. You could think of it that way. It is also influenced by speed, like we said. So that's why they go hand in hand, because having a you have a baseline value of speed that determines the turn order and all of that, but the turn order gets modified by the turn rate of the ability itself. So with turn rate down, you basically, it's kind of casting, it's a little bit like casting slow on an enemy, pretty much. And then, like we said, she also has speed down, but we'll talk about it in a bit. Seifer, we're gonna talk about you in a little bit as well. For now, do your thing. And Selfie, you do your thing as well. Let's keep our focus on Quistis for now. Alright. So, like we said, we don't want to absolutely use the Generator Whip for no reason, because it's an incredibly powerful ability, and the delay is something that you need to really use well. So we're not gonna use it right now. So what options do we have? Like we said, we have a lot of laser whips uses, so we can keep doing that and maybe put turn rate down on the other enemy as well. But we also have the Bravery Plus and the HP Plus, and let's talk about them a little bit. So the Bravery Plus grants party bravery based on own max bravery, followed by a 2-hit melee bravery attack, but importantly, it's very important to note that it has high turn rate. So as you can see, with the Bravery Plus we jump up, with the others we don't. So it's, and we HP Plus too, yeah. Alright, it's, I would say that you rarely use the Bravery Plus and HP Plus with Quistis, but they are quite good and can be really useful depending on the situation. Because she does the battery to everyone, is very useful to use for defensive purposes. So for example, you could HP Plus or Bravery Plus battery everyone and stay safe from an all attack from the enemy. Because if you use Laser Whip, of course, you dump all of your bravery. So I don't think you always need to use them. Like, she's not one of those characters that rely heavily upon them, like Selfie here, for example. But they are quite good. The HP Plus, it's a 2-hit melee bravery attack plus HP attack, a little bit of overthrow, and like we said, grants party bravery based on HP damage dealt. So both refunds bravery for everyone, which is very, very cool and important. And like we said, they have high turn rate, which can be used to your advantage as well. So for now, we don't want to use it anyway. Let's keep laser whipping. All right. Let's start talking about Seifer as well. Seifer, even though he has a gunblade, is a fully ranged attacker, because he actually uses the gunblade to swing from afar, which is pretty cool. And is fully focused on AoE damage. His single target damage is pretty poor, but his AoE damage is top notch. And also is another debuffer, kind of like Quistis. And actually they go very well together. Now, like I said, Seifer, like the rest of the disciplinary committee from Final Fantasy VIII, is fully AoE. So let's look at his abilities. We start with No Mercy, which it's very important to note that it is a wind elemental attack. This is good and bad, of course, because characters like him that actually only have one element on one skill, which is only this one, can be locked out from content depending on the elemental resistance of the enemy, because he has no way of countering that really. So yeah, No Mercy is wind element, and it's the only elemental ability on his kit. It's still a 4-hit group ranged bravery attack plus single target HP attack. Moderately increased bravery damage when attacking single target. More damage to extra damage to debuff target, which is something that you want to something that it does on everything pretty much, and it's important to remember. 150% overflow, 50% HP damage to non-targets. For 6 turns you gain your unique buff called Sorceress's Knight, and to all targets you give an attack down 1. HP becomes HP attack plus while Sorcerer's Knight is active. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. Let's check Bloodfest 2. Bloodfest is a 5-hit group range bravery attack plus group HP attack. Extra bravery damage to debuff target, 180% overflow, proportionate HP damage to each target. For 6 turns you gain max brave up 1, Sorcerer's Knight as well on this ability. To all targets, 6 turns of max brave down 2, which is pretty good, and bravery plus enabled. Alright, it is pretty straightforward. It is fully AoE, it does damage and debuff. So, the difference is that No Mercy, like we said, it's wind element, puts attack down 1 on the enemy, and it's single target, it does single target HP damage with splash damage, and it has a little bit less overflow. While Bloodfest is fully AoE, it's proportionate damage to everyone, but it has more hits and it has more overflow as well, and puts a different debuff, max brave down. Alright, we start with, they are more or less even uses as well. One thing that we want to check is the Sorcerer's Knight buff here. It's the Seifer's unique buff, and raises max brave, attack, and the chance of inflicting debuffs, because otherwise it wouldn't have the 100% chance of doing that. So it is very important that you keep this one active at all times, but as you saw, you activate it with pretty much everything that you do. Alright, let's start with No Mercy on B. Pretty good. Alright, selfie. Okay, going back to Quistis, what do we have? We have the EX, the Homing Whip. Quistis has a very fast recharging EX, it's basically one of her main abilities. It is needed, like we said, because the Generator Whip is something that you use only very few times in a fight, so her EX is very frequent instead. Now, Homing Whip. It's a 10-hit melee bravery attack plus HP attack. Moderately increased bravery damage when attacking a target afflicted with turn rate down or speed down. So, this is crucial to remember. Homing Whip does way more damage if you attack a target with one of those debuffs. So it is imperative that you keep them up on the enemies. Stolen Bravery might exceed max brave up to 150%, 50% splash damage to non-targets, grants allies bravery based on the HP damage dealt to selected targets. To all targets, you inflict 4 turns of speed down 2 and fading light. To self, you gain Instructor's Whip. It is a very potent ability. It does a ton of damage, to be honest. Shaves really well as well because it's a lot of hits. And they can hit hard, assuming that you have turn rate down or speed down on the enemy. And gives a lot of battery as well to the party, and does a lot of things. So let's use it right away, and let's talk about it. All right. So it is crucial to know that we said that the Generator Whip with Quistis gave speed down, but the EX from Quistis puts a stronger speed down. The Generator Whip put 20% speed down, the EX from Quistis, the Homing Whip, puts 40% speed down, which is, I believe, is tied up with Zidane for the highest in the game. So it's an incredible good debuff to have, and she can keep it up all the time. Because, like we said, the EX is very, very frequent. Another thing that she does is putting the frame debuff Fading Light, which lowers max brave and attack by 30%. 30% is a lot for a framed debuff. Usually these framed debuff are a little bit less than that, I would say, generally. So it's actually a really strong frame debuff. The reason why it's so strong is because, of course, you can stack it up with other debuffs, other debuffers. For example, here with Seifer, we can put more attack down and more max brave down to the enemy. And you'll see that, the effect of that in a bit, especially on the second wave. So it is a very, very potent frame debuff in my opinion. Of course, you can stack it up with more frame debuffs and all of that. Definitely very, very strong. The other thing that we gain is Instructor Whip, is the Quistis unique debuff. Raises on max brave and attack, raises the amount of party stolen and increased bravery. Very, very potent. Not a lot of characters right now in the game have the increased bravery gain overflow for the party. And not only she has that, but she also increases the stolen bravery overflow as well. Basically kind of like the aura buff from Selfie, which is also why I think they go very well together. Because you can double up on all the stolen and increased bravery overflow. And they benefit from it one another with all the battery going on. It's also very good because it's only a unique buff on herself. So you don't put any other buffs on the party members. So she has like this aura basically to everyone else without using buff slots or anything like that. Quistis herself only has 2 buffs. The generic attack up, which you can probably also just overwrite with something stronger with another buffer in the team, and her unique debuff, her unique buff. Sorry. So she's very efficient in that regard as well. All right. So as you can see, with all the overflow gained, with all the bravery gain overflow that we have, our Seifer has 64k bravery baseline without even doing anything with all the battery that we got. So I guess it's a good time to check the bravery plus and the HP plus of Seifer. The bravery plus, it's a 3-hit group ranged bravery attack, deals extra bravery damage to debuff targets, while the HP plus plus, it's a 2-hit group range bravery attack plus group HP attack. As always, more damage to debuff target, 150% overflow, and proportionate HP damage to each target. So I actually really like the HP plus plus of Seifer here, because Seifer can run out of uses of skills if you just spam regardless of everything. The HP plus plus is actually really good, especially if you have a bunch of overflow like we have here, because this is one of the few HP plus attack that is fully AoE. Like it's AoE attacks and proportionate HP damage to everyone. So and there's quite a bunch of overflow, like 150%, while usually the HP plus stops at 120%. So it has the potential to be very strong. For example, here that we have already a lot of max brave, let's use it and let's see how much damage we can do. As you can see, we did quite a lot with all the overflow that we have. So you can see that his HP plus as well is fully AoE. So he literally needs an AoE fight to really shine. Okay, with Quistis, we are back at laser whipping. We still have to put the max brave down with Bloodfest here, so let's use it. As you can see, Bloodfest as well can hit very hard. Alright. So, now on the enemy we have turn rate down, speed down, fading light, and max brave down. They are immune to attack down, these two mobs here. So the max brave of fading light and the max brave down of Seifer stack up together, which is very good. So we have a very good stacking of debuffs here. And especially with Seifer, you want the target to be debuffed all the time as well. We'll see why in a sec. With Quistis, she's pretty straightforward, as you can see. But the battery, as you can see, with their EX and the overflow, the game bravery overflow that we have is very cool. As you can see with the stacking debuff, the max brave of these two mobs is only 14,000, so it's really low. Demon Slice X is Seifer's EX. Very, very cool one. Let's check it out. It's a 5-hit group range bravery attack plus single target HP attack delivered 2 times. Moderately increased bravery damage when attacking a single target, more damage to debuff target, 150% overflow, and 50% of cumulative HP damage dealt to non-targets. For 6 turns, you gain Young Revolutionary, and on all the targets, you put a 1-turn unique debuff called Scar of Destruction. Alright, before we use it, let's check the Young Revolutionary buff on ourselves. It's a second unique frame debuff for Seifer, frame buff for Seifer. Raises attack, increase the bravery damage dealt based on number of debuffs afflicting the target. Extend duration of buffs granted by self. So it is very important to keep it up, of course, and because this buff increases the overall damage of Seifer, the bravery damage of Seifer quite a lot. It depends on the number of debuffs on the enemy, of course, so if you have 6 debuffs on the enemies, you do a lot more bravery damage. So in this case, we already have 4 debuffs, so that's really good. We will do max damage. It helps a lot with enemies that have high defense to have a lot of debuffs, because you can feel the difference more there, of course. Alright, let's use Demon Slice X. Alright. As you can see, a lot of AoE damage again. So, you saw the effect of that debuff right away. Scar of Destruction lowers speed by a little bit, like a low amount, but it's there. And bravery damage dealt becomes 0. So it's a very, very strong defensive debuff that you can inflict at the right time, at the right moment, to completely nullify an attack from the enemy, pretty much. It's incredibly useful. Timing it, it's not always easy to do, but if you can time it right, it's gonna feel amazing, because being hit for 0 damage means that you cannot get broken, even if you are at 0 bravery. So it is a very, very important and cool debuff that Seifer has here. Alright, with all of that said, let's play the fight out and let's get to the boss fight, because this is still the first wave. Alright. Bad breath, let's see if we can avoid some debuffs. We didn't get blinded, so that's totally fine. Alright. Perfect. Alright, now you have to deal with the boss fight. The boss fight has 3 targets, so it's great for Seifer. The ads will eventually die, but they will respawn back. Now, let's start by just using Bloodfest right away. That way we put the max brave down right away on all of them, which is pretty useful. We need to put the turn rate down on the main boss here as well. We need to refresh wall, because they can be very nasty with debuffs, so hopefully we will avoid some of those. Okay, now you can see the power of the stacking of max brave down. Look at that. The max brave of the boss is 5,000 with all of these max brave stacks, stacking debuffs that we have. And for the others, it's only 3,000. So even if they HP attack, they do virtually nothing. So that's the power of stacking those debuffs there with this team. Alright, we have Demon Slice X right away. So let's use it. Homing Whip as well. So we put speed down on all of them. Okay. Yeah, we can get broken here a little bit with Quistis. So he will do 0 damage here, resulting in a very pitiful HP attack. We can also just HP plus, because it's quite potent, as you can see. Selfie, you do that. You also drain. Alright, homing whip again. Now this boss cannot be delayed when he's on the ground, so we will, if we want to use the generator whip, we need to wait when he's in the air. As you can see, with all the gain bravery overflow that we have with Seifer, we don't really need to use we don't really need to use abilities right now. We can just HP plus and still do very respectable damage. Okay. As well, now we are stacking attack down as well. As you saw, his damaging ability there did pretty much nothing. It was very, very low on bravery damage there. Alright. I will continue our cycle here. Kill the adds right away. They didn't stand a chance here. We are spamming a lot with Quistis right now, of course. We might have a chance to see the HP plus as well, if we need to. Alright, now this is single target, so it's not great for Seifer. We can still, our best bet to do single target damage is Bloodfest, because it has more hits and can still hit hard. No Mercy has a little bit less hits, so on single and less overflow, so on single targets it's a little bit worse. Alright. But with all the battery that we have, we still do decent damage. Even from this position, I think we can just HP plus and still do pretty good damage there. Okay, Sonic Edge, that was pretty nasty. Let's just wall again. We might get a big hit, HP hit here. Lul, okay. Okay, now they are fully buffed, so that's a big no-no for Seifer. And most importantly, they have defense up, which is very annoying. So we need to kinda start to dwindle down all of these debuffs here. I think that we can start by using the generator whip right away here, delay the boss a little bit, and put a little bit of speed down on him. Alright, so into the Shadow Realm he goes. And now we need to start debuffing them again with Seifer. Seifer has another trick up his sleeves, which is his AA, which I find very cool and very useful. Set defense down is very straightforward. Puts a defense down 2 on all the enemies and slightly raises attack for 4 turns when attacking debuff target. It's basically a defense down on demand when you need it. And for bosses like this, that they suddenly buff up in defense, this is great. Because you don't waste a turn, you just do this. You put defense down and everything is good again. So I really like it. And of course it's another way of putting a debuff on the target, so increasing his bravery damage even more. Okay, no mercy. As you can see, the small adds now are fully buffed up, so they are stronger. Let's use the EX right away as well. And we could use a homing whip right away to put a stronger speed down on all of them. We could also use laser whip in this case to try put the turn rate down on them right away as well. So we can choose what we want to do here. I also want to show the AA of Quistis, ability recovery. Very useful. Laser whip and degenerator whip use +1 with upper limit, and slightly increase the amount of party stolen bravery for 9 turns. So it's one of those AA that last a really long time, and in this case it's even more overflow, so it's really good. And having one more use of laser whip and degen whip is also really good. So very useful for her. Let's use it. Another thing that we could do right now is summon, or summon soon. We could do. Let's use laser whip first. I want to put the turn rate down on them. As you can see, he jumped down in turn. We have Scars of Destruction on them anyway, so they really don't do much. Okay, let's use one drain. Okay, I believe we still need to put the max spray down on them, so let's do that. Now we can use the EX. Aura. And yeah, I think we can summon. And start doing some good damage here. The reason why I summoned here is because I can delay him here. While he's in the air, otherwise I couldn't. As you can see, we are pretty much always at full max rate with all the battery going on and the gain bravery overflow. Alright, perfect. More battery and more delay. Let's use on wall as well, just to refresh our buffs. Alright, this is the last degenerator whip, but as you can see we are stalling the fight out a lot and we are doing a lot of damage in the meantime. Alright, perfect. We need to refresh our laser whip to refresh our HP plus and bravery plus, which we don't need right now, but it is important to do that too. Selfie, use your ability recovery as well. All right. All right. Rail Cannon. Gonna do 0. And you should be dead. Alright. So that was our beautiful Quistis and Seifer. Two characters that I really like. I thought this fight was good enough to showcase what they could do. As you can see, you saw the effectiveness of the AoE of Seifer, the debuff stacking between Seifer and Quistis, the delay and the turn management of Quistis, which is insane. As you can see, like this boss like did nothing pretty much. So it's yeah, I think it was a good showcase for them. So let me know what you guys thought of them in the comments down below. Thank you very much, and see you guys on the next videos.